the survival series for kids, What to Do When Your Mom or Dad Says, Earn Your Allowance. Written by Joy Berry, pictures by Bartholomew. Has your mother or father ever told you to earn your allowance? Whenever your mom or dad tells you to earn your allowance, do you wonder, where do I start? If any of this sounds familiar to you, you're going to love this book because it will tell you exactly how to determine what your allowances should be and how you can go about deserving it. An allowance is a share of the family income. As a member of your family, you are entitled to a share of your family's possessions, what your family owns. This means that in addition to food, clothing, and shelter, you should probably get a portion of any money that is made. Wow, that's fantastic. Wait until I tell mom and dad about this. Yes, it is fantastic. But before you get too excited about sharing your family's possessions, you need to consider the other side. What other side? Belonging to any group requires an equal amount of give and take. What do you mean, give and take? It's only fair that whenever you take something from a group, you give something back to it. No one likes to be in a group with a person who is always taking and never giving in return. It just isn't fair. The same thing applies to your family. If you take something from your family, you must give something back to it. But what can I give my family? Plenty. You can contribute to your family by taking care of yourself. If you take care of yourself, no one else will have to do it for you, and this will be a big help. Help out by taking care of your own body. Keep it clean and well-groomed every day. Brush your teeth twice a day and floss at night after your final meal. Help out by making sure you have the right clothes to wear and by getting yourself dressed every day. You may need to plan what you are going to wear the night before you get dressed. Planning is a good idea. You can put your clothes out on a chair, ready to go in the morning along with your backpack. You could take care of yourself by preparing your own breakfast. You can also help out by preparing your own lunch and snacks. You can contribute to your family by cleaning up after yourself. Help out by keeping your own bedroom organized and clean. Make your bed when you get up in the morning. It's a good start for a great day. Help out by picking up and putting away anything you use in and around the house. You can clean up after yourself by cleaning up any mess you make. This applies to accidental messes as well as ones made on purpose. You can also help out by doing things such as flushing the toilet after you use it, wiping off the toilet seat or floor around the toilet if you should accidentally drip on it, turning out the lights in rooms you leave if there is no one left in the room, and turning water faucets completely off when you are finished using them. Taking care of yourself and cleaning up after yourself will be a big help, but it's not enough. You need to give more than this if you are to share your family's possessions. You must decide along with your family what is a fair contribution for you to make. Listed below are a few jobs you may want to consider in coming up with your list of responsibilities. Set the table for meals. Clear the table after meals. If you do not have a dishwasher, wash the dishes, dry the dishes, and put them away. If you have a dishwasher, load the dishwasher, unload the dishwasher, empty the trash, take care of the family pets, vacuum, sweep the floors, sweep the outside porches and walks, dust the furniture, mow the lawn, rake the leaves, shovel the snow. If you take care of yourself, clean up after yourself, and do the chores that your family asks you to do, you're entitled to an allowance. Wow, that sounds fair to me, but how much money should I get from my allowance? How much allowance you receive is something that must be decided by your parents and you. Several things need to be taken into consideration when deciding how much your allowance should be. How much money your family has. This is the most important thing to consider in deciding how much your allowance should be. A fair allowance is usually a percentage of the family's income. The exact percentage must be up to you and your parents. Some families pay as much as 10% of the net income, but most families pay around 1%. A percentage allowance works out better than a fixed one because the children share in the family's financial successes and setbacks. Here is how a 1% allowance would work. Your family's income is on the left column, and on the right columns are per year, per month, and per week. To simplify this allowance process, some families give $1 per week per grade level at age. For example, if you're 5 years old in kindergarten, you'll get $5 a week. The more things which you are expected to pay for, the more money you should be given. Generally speaking, an allowance is expected to cover the following things: your school supplies, your snacks, entertainment, special equipment and supplies needed for hobbies, special gifts to be given to another person, miscellaneous, any other items that are nice but not necessary. You and your parents may need to adjust either the amount of your allowance or the number of things you are expected to buy with it. Otherwise, it will only cause conflict between you and your parents. But you're supposed to buy that with your allowance. But you don't give me enough allowance to do everything I'm supposed to do. You can see that there's a conflict there, and y'all are going to have to discuss it. How well you handle your money. If you are irresponsible with your money, that is, if you spend all of it as fast as you get it on frivolous things that have no value, you should not be given very much money. It's important that you learn how to budget and spend money wisely before you are given very much of it. Mom, can I have some money to go to the show with Lori? What happened to the allowance I just gave you? He looks like he's been irresponsible. How much money your friends have. Having more money than your friends causes just as many problems as having less than them. Both situations leads to feelings of jealousy, rejection, rivalry, and more. To avoid these problems, find out how much allowance your friends get and take this into consideration when deciding how much you should get. Now, it's best just to get the money you get and be satisfied. Comparing yourself to your classmates is not a good idea. Once your parents and you have decided what you are to do to earn your allowance and how much you're to be paid, it's time to follow through. Following through with something is doing what you have decided to do. It's very important that both you and your parents follow through with the agreements you make with each other. If you fail to take care of yourself, clean up after yourself, or do the chores that have been assigned to you, chances are someone else will have to do it for you. And if when this happens, it is only fair that the other person be paid for his or her services. The other person will be paid with money subtracted from your allowance. Here's how it works. With regard to taking care of yourself, if someone else has to do something you're to do for yourself, a certain amount of money will be subtracted from your allowance and paid to the person who helped you. In regard to cleaning up after yourself, if someone else has to pick up or clean up after you, a certain amount of money will be subtracted from your allowance and paid to the person who did the work. In regard to doing your chores, if you leave your chores for someone else to do, you should pay them with money subtracted from your allowance. Here's a chart. If all of this possible, you should receive your allowance once a week. During the week, you or your parents should fill in a chart that may look something like this. You can see the task on the left and the days of the week on the right. Refer to the chart on pages 38 and 39. If you complete a task, you or your parents should put a check in the appropriate square. If someone else did the task for you, his or her name should be written in the square instead of a check. At the end of the week, all of the squares with another person's name in them are added up, and the money necessary to pay for each square is then subtracted from your allowance and paid to the appropriate person. Penalties usually range from 10 cents to 50 cents, depending on how much allowance is paid and how big or little the task is. To encourage the people in your family to pick up after themselves, your family may want to do this. At the end of each day, have one person go around the house picking up everything that's been left out and put the items in a large garbage bag. As a penalty to the person who failed to pick up after himself, or herself, the item should remain in the bag for 1 whole week and then be purchased back for 5 cents to 10 cents per item. This might encourage all family members to pick up after themselves. To make sure your parents pay your allowance regularly and on time, you will need a second chart that may look something like this. It's called a payment chart. When you receive your weekly earnings, you must sign the chart. This is to show that you have been paid. It is always nice to get things in writing, especially when money's involved. So to keep things clear and upfront between you and your parents, it would be a good idea to have an allowance contract. The contract might look something like this. To make this system work, it's extremely important that you do not ask your parents to give you money that you are not entitled to or that you do not earn. If your parents start giving you money, you will not respect it and you will never learn how to use it wisely. You can bargain with your parents to pay you for any additional tasks you do for the family. If they don't have any extra money, you'll have to get a job outside your home to supplement your allowance. Here's a list of some of the things that you could do for your family to earn extra money. Make and pack sack lunches for your family. Clean and polish shoes. Take care of the house plants. Clean and wax the furniture. Take care of younger children. Sew on buttons. Polish metal household items. Clean and wash the car. Weed the garden. Wash the windows. Whenever you do an extra job, be sure to write it down on your task chart so that you will be sure to be paid for it. The end of arguments over your allowance. The survival series for kids, What to Do When Your Mom or Dad Says, Earn Your Allowance. Written by Joy Berry, pictures by Bartholomew. Remember, work gives us dignity.